All right, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and a third one is
Kyle Bridger. I totally forgot to prepare for this, so that is my fault. But I'm going to say that I am the best motion picture to John's best supporting performance to Dave's. We won't even give him a category because he doesn't even belong on this list. You get nothing, sir.
hey, fine with me, because you know what? Maybe I don't want to be nominated for the Golden Globes, the joke of the awards or the awards season here. Yeah, are you a comedy musical film, Kyle, or are you a drama film? 'Cause they have two different categories at the Globes.
Well, I am all of the above because the categories don't matter. It's like, whose line is it
Yeah, I was
anyway
about
for
to bring
Golden
that up.
Globes?
Yeah, pretty much. And despite all that, we will break down the nominations today that were announced earlier this morning for the Golden Globes. We're going to talk about a film that shockingly was nominated for a Golden Globe, The Little Things. And we have this first segment, which has been the talk of the town. We got to jump right to it. John, what is this first segment?
in and out points.
In oder out. In oder out. In, out.
Yes, it is in and out points. This week, we got one. We got one major in and out point. It's the talk of everything. And thankfully, last week, we finished our industry season 1 catch up. Perfect series about the financial world and banking and stocks and all this stuff going on. Good thing we did, because this first segment, we're going to need some of that research we did with industry, because late last week, GameStop's stock soared 1,700% compared to December's market value after the Reddit group Wall Street Bets banded together to squeeze at least 2 hedge funds that had bet GameStop shares would fall. Share price was less than $20 in December, but on January 27th, we were around $350 a share. There's a lot to unpack with this. And first, I got to ask, can either of you guys explain this? I've read so many articles, listened to so many podcasts. I think I got it, but I don't know if I can explain it back.
I don't know what caused it. That's the only thing I think I'm not quite sure about is why GameStop and why AMC? Because I guess because they're like going out of business. I guess kind of, but not really.
Yeah, from what I gather is that these hedge funds, they had stock in GameStop, right? And they are like, GameStop's a brick and mortar store. It's going to head for the hills, it's not going to last long, but we have money in it. So we're going to sell off some of our shares. And then when the stock drops, we're going to rebuy back our shares at a lower cost and effectively gain money from it, right? Or make the difference up, right? Well, apparently there's a way to see this happening, and some of the people on Wall Street Bets saw that this was happening and was like, you know what? Screw these guys. I like GameStop. I'm just going to buy a bunch of these shares. What that effectively does is it raises the stock price again, and these hedge funds were not banking on that, and now they've got to buy back their stock at a higher price that they wanted to do it. So they effectively lost a ton of money. And if you have a bunch of stock in it, right? And we're talking like thousands and thousands of shares, that could be millions and millions of dollars that are impacted.
And the thing is, with those Wall Street hedge fund guys, when you buy back that stock, it's going to drive the price up higher.
Even further, yes.
So it's just they're trying to dig out of the hole, but they're just falling farther and farther in that hole. And
yeah,
I have a definition here, I think, of short selling to help, maybe from CNBC, to help also. Short selling is a strategy in which investors borrow shares of a stock at a certain price in expectations that the market value will fall below that level when it's time to pay for the borrowed shares. But these guys, well, they're not going to make it fall below that level. They're going to drive the price up, which makes them worry. Well, I don't have the money to pay back this thing. It really kind of screws over those hedge funds, which maybe they kind of deserve it a little. I don't know, I don't know, just a little bit. They profited off of so many people for so long. But
And I mean, the thing is in reality, no one thinks GameStop is worth $350 a share. I mean, it's just not realistic. But the point is that hedge funds do this stuff all the time. And it's borderline, if not illegal activity. Okay. I guess it's not illegal if you don't get caught. But yeah. So when the tables are turned on them and they don't like losing money, then they say they're going to take their ball and go home, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the next day after this surge here, the trading app Robinhood blocked purchases of GameStop, AMC. AMC Entertainment was the next target from the Reddit group. Shares jumped for that 300%, but they blocked GameStop, AMC, and others that were made popular by this subreddit. And their statement, Robinhood's statement, was, as a brokerage firm, we have many financial requirements, including SEC net capital obligations and clearinghouse deposits. Some of these requirements fluctuate based on the market. These requirements exist to protect investors in the markets, and we take our responsibilities to comply with them seriously. So, in a way, this app that you're able to trade stock blocked the purchase of these stocks, which just doesn't seem correct, especially from a company that's literally called Robinhood. Like, I don't know if they know the story of Robinhood.
Yeah.
Stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, but maybe they didn't finish that part of the story. I don't know.
And I read a news article that said that Robinhood's main way of making money is that they actually will take the people's information and then sell that information to hedge fund companies as well. So it's pretty ridiculous.
Well, it was something that unified the country, where everyone's been talking about unity. We need to be unified. Well, this is the one thing that made it happen. Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump Jr., and even Ja Rule have all found common ground.
Ja, who wouldn't want to take financial advice from Ja Rule? Yeah,
it works so well for the Fire Festival. I'm sure he knows what he's talking about. But they are all saying Robinhood should be investigated. And Jon Stewart even joined Twitter after all these years solely to tweet his thoughts on this issue. I'm going to have to clean up a little bit of it here, but quote, "This is bull. The Redditors aren't cheating. They're joining a party Wall Street insiders have been enjoying for years. Don't shut them down. Maybe sue them for copyright infringement instead. Have we learned nothing from 2008?
Yeah.
Brings up a point. They've been doing it.
Yeah.
So why can't these guys do it now? Oh wait.
Yeah.
But,
and right in front of everyone's faces, not even pretending, because at the same time, Robinhood was denying, everyday traders, the retail trades of stocks. They were allowing backdoor buying and selling of the stock for people in the industry. So the hedge fund companies and stuff like that, which is really just grotesque.
I mean, it's not a fair, it's not fair market there. I mean, if you can control who can able to purchase stock when they can purchase it, I mean, is it fair? They've been now hit with at least 33 federal lawsuits in 10 different states. So Robinhood's going to be in a little bit of a bind for a little bit here, and it's gone up to the federal government. Senator Brown, incoming chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, said, "People on Wall Street only care about the rules when they're the ones getting hurt. American workers have known for years that the Wall Street system is broken, and they've been paying the price. It's time for the SEC and Congress to make the economy work for everyone, not just Wall Street. So yeah, things are in motion.
Because again, going. I know. I mean, we're
Hit it.
not
Hit it hard.
financial advisors, okay?
Yeah.
But again, no one thinks that GameStop is worth $350 a share, okay? The thing is that this stuff is done all the time with a bunch of other stocks and all this stuff in the market, and no one bats an eye because it's not GameStop and it didn't happen by the people, okay? The fact that the people kind of rose up together, okay, to kind of fight back and make some money. I mean, I heard stories of people like selling at a high price so they could afford college loans, medical bills. And I mean, if we have to do this in order to, it's absurd. You see these guys talking about like on CNBC, like this is an attack on the wealthy. It's like, what world am I living in right now, man?
But they could have been attacking the poor all this time, and it's no big deal. Well, you're talking about banding together, working together to take down something. Well, Google is actually removing negative reviews of the Robinhood app from the Google Play Store, according to The Verge, after organized campaigns plan to give the app a 1-star review. So it went down to 1, then they got it back up to 4, getting rid of those 1-star reviews. But I just checked; it's still at 1 in the Google Play Store. So it's back down to 1. And again, this is okay. Sure, banding together to take down something. Okay, but they're not happy with the app. So why can't they give it a 1?
Yeah.
Right, John? Am I crazy?
No, I agree, and especially when it's not some small incident, like the story's public. It's not like it's like it's Joe's candle shop allegedly threw a candle at somebody, but there's no proof. It's just like you can see what's going on. There's no disputing it. So I don't know.
Yeah. So it just reeks of like this corporate like fishiness. I don't
between all, but the thing is between all entities.
Yeah.
Now you have the tech industry doing the thing for Robinhood, a tech app. It's just like, it's gross. It's disgusting. I mean, you want to talk about conspiracy theories. I mean, you don't even need one for this.
Yeah.
It's like everyone is in on it except everyone else. It's like, okay, we're clearly on the outs. We don't know what kind of meetings you guys are having at the top where you're probably, Hannibal Lecter eating the goods of the people. You know what I mean? It's just, it's insane. Insane. It's insane to me.
Well, this has been the talk of the town, as I said. Everyone's been talking about it. Everyone can't get enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
And much like how Contagion, the film about a pandemic, was huge during the start of the pandemic, finance movies have also spiked on Apple TV this week. The 2015 The Big Short hit number 3. 2013's The Wolf of Wall Street hit number 4.
What about the original Wall Street?
I haven't seen that make the list, but yeah, this places ahead of them of like recent releases like Tenet. People can't get enough of these stories, but guess what? They don't have to watch these old films because new films are coming. On Monday, Deadline reported that Netflix has landed the rights to produce and distribute a new film about the recent GameStop stock situation that is set to be written by Mark Bowl, who did The Hurt Locker, and set to star Noah Centineo? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think he's a Netflix To All the Boys I Loved Before, or P.S. I one of those films. But I want to pull out a part of this here. Set to be written. The script isn't written yet because the ending is still happening.
Yeah.
Also, who owns the rights to this? Who do they acquire the rights from? Were they just ask the Reddit page to, like, how does this have like the company like who's getting their money drained? Like, they're not gonna say yes, so it can't be them. So I have no idea.
Isn't there was one head guy that kind of started the charge, that kind of saw
Billy McFarland? No, I'm just kidding.
there were a few people that saw when the GameStop stock was originally being shorted. That's when they kind of jumped in. So I imagine they'll try and get those kind of life rights or something. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's wild to me. It's just like, I think I saw a tweet about this where in this day and age, it's just like Mad Libs with a featured stuff. And it's just like, let's send it out to Twitter, almost like a Slack thing. Like, who wants in? And like, Elizabeth Moss here to say, yes, I will sign on to this gig. It's just so
how do they already
ridiculous.
cast somebody in
I
this?
know.
They don't even have a script or a story. That's not it. That's not it. And you were talking about rights, John. Oh, who are they going to get the rights from? Well, MGM acquired a book proposal from Ben Mezerich about the GameStop trading. His previous book became a pillar for the social network. Again, a book proposal.
Yeah. So this all these projects are literally off talent, name, and just agent packaging. All right, I got Noah Centineo.
Is that it? Is that how you say it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm just making it up. You got to talk with confidence. I'm agent talk right now.
Okay.
I've got Noah Centineo. I've got this writer that no one's heard of except in this project. Boom, we're making it happen. You know,
You
it's
know what
just
this reminds me of?
Hmm.
Where are all these Tiger King movies and
Yeah,
films?
we're still waiting. We're
promised?
still waiting.
Still waiting. It's been a whole year. Where is it?
Well, those are TV series. These are movies, John. But don't worry, there is going to be a TV series based on this because Pinky Promise Productions has fast-tracked a limited series called To the Moon and have already met with members of the Reddit group, hedge funds, and other business insiders. 3 projects in a thing that happened last week, which is still ongoing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. You guys want to make one? Let's do a podcast about this. A 6-part podcast series. I don't know. Jesus.
It is wild. It's like, I mean, if you have any kind of writing or acting cred and maybe a good agent, you can probably get in the project. I don't know how. Do you as a writer be like, oh, I could write this and immediately go to your agent? Like, how does this work? How do you? I don't even know. I have an idea. I went to sleep. I woke up this morning. I want to do this. Good enough for me. You're in.
I don't know. It just sounds so just crazy. Just let's see how this thing ends before we start writing the movie of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like all the projects about Donald Trump when he was still in office, about like it's like the Comey thing. That was like a year ago or 2 years ago. Like, we're already making a series about the ramifications. Let's wait on everything a little bit here. Let's breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, if I'm going on a rant now, we got the Golden Globes to talk about. And I have this transition. I think it works for the GameStop news and also describes perfectly the Golden Globes. So this is the new sound drop for whenever we talk about the Golden Globes on the podcast.
It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
No, Fugazi. It's fake.
Yeah, fugazi. It's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not real.
Right. All right.
Great way to describe the 78th Golden Globe nominations. They were announced this morning, live early in the morning, and they're going to take place on NBC on February 28th. They're going to be hosted by Tina Fey and Amy Poehler on opposite coasts. They're going to be on opposite coasts hosting this ceremony later this month. There's a lot to unpack because they do movies, they do television. Some of these movies we all haven't seen together yet. But we're still going to hit on the main points tonight. We're going to start off with movies, and we're going to start off by saying how Mank led with 6 nominations, followed by The Trial of the Chicago 7 with 5. Now, both of these are up for Best Motion Picture Drama alongside The Father, Nomadland, and Promising Young Woman. I'll also throw in the comedies here as well, and we could talk about it as a whole. In the musical and comedy category, it gets a little weird. We have Borat subsequent movie film, Hamilton, music, Palm Springs, and The Prom. Okay, John, start me off. Initial thoughts.
I don't think I've seen enough of these movies to give you any thoughts. I mean, I'm looking at musical comedy. I've seen Palm Springs and Borat. That's it. You want me to choose between those two?
Yeah, which one?
Palm Springs, but not by much.
Okay. Okay. Well, and I know we've seen the Trial of the Chicago 7 for the podcast. I saw Mank. I did a quick check on that. But Kyle, initial thoughts on these films. Have you seen anything else?
As far as drama and musical comedy, well, yeah, I'm kind of in the same. I was kind of talking to you earlier about this. It's like the movie landscape to me this year, I have no idea what people are watching. I have no idea what to watch. The marketing for these things, I haven't seen anything. I'll just hear, oh, this movie's coming out Friday. And I'm like, okay, but am I supposed to watch it or is this thing going to suck? Because it feels like 50-50 on these things where it's like it's really bad or it's going to be okay. So your kind of review of Mank didn't make me want to watch it. The Trial of Chicago 7 was good, and Borat and Palm Springs, both good. I've heard bad things about The Prom. I don't even know what music is. And Hamilton, we have to discuss if it should even be there. So
Yeah, I was happy to see Borat 2 in Palm Springs. Love the Palm Springs love. I thought that could be forgotten, and I hope this kind of helps it later on in this award season. A lot of these films, they're on the list to talk about. Nomadland, it's coming out on Hulu. We're going to talk about it on the podcast. Let's see, Promising Young Woman, that's on my list. It's on VOD right now. But a lot of these films, yeah, it's like, wait, what? And I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to throw John off his game a little bit and bring up how there's this man, Scott Feinberg. He's a reporter for the Hollywood Reporter. He tracks and predicts awards. And he, tweeted today. First of all, I hate to say it, but I must. This morning's Golden Globe nominations are a complete and utter embarrassment. But he also tweeted, just when I was looking up, what is this film music? He tweeted, I have literally never heard of the movie for which Kate Hudson got a nom for. This guy's job is to track where the Oscar race is going, where the awards are going, seeing all the films, possibilities, long shots. He's never even heard of this film. And I looked it up. It's Sia's directorial debut. It's sitting at a cool 29% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. 29% fresh. It's more rotten, but okay. I guess put it on the list. Why not? There was so much outrage today. I feel like more than the usual in my feed. It's just how much of a joke the Hollywood Foreign Press is. I mean, we've talked about in the past of how it'll nominate films like The Tourist, which is a drama action film in the comedy category, just to get Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie there. And we're seeing it here. It's just, we have more people voting in our polls and brackets for dual redundancy that actually vote for these awards. So
yeah,
we have a better understanding, I think, of what should be recognized. But
and this is what I was saying to Dave before we got on the podcast. I'm like, how can we make it so that the Golden Globes stop being legitimized at all? It's just a bunch of people that want to have a party with a bunch of actors and actresses. I mean, how did this come about that it has any indication of anything?
Yeah, I just think it's the first one of the season. It's televised. A lot of these other awards bodies aren't televised, and they do the thing where they invite those A-list Angelina Jolie, Johnny Depp people, so then people will tune in for the ceremony and think they have to care because, oh, I got to see them win an award. But there's actually not some of the best performances. They're just using that star power in the television stuff to make it think this is important, when really it doesn't matter.
And I mean, even more so now with the pandemic and no one going into a physical ballroom and like looking at all the it's like, why watch this? Why?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to talk about the musical comedy nominees, specifically Hamilton. We had Z Milan on Instagram comment to us when I asked about what are your thoughts on these, and he just said ... Hamilton ? Yeah, this one's interesting. I talked about it back in July when Disney Plus released it. It's a filmed recording of the Broadway musical Hamilton from a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. Now, Hamilton was eligible here for picture and acting races. Lin-Manuel Miranda got one. The film obviously got one. Here, it's on the film side of the Globes, but it's going to be qualifying as a TV movie for the SAG Awards, the Screen Actors Guild, tomorrow. They're going to be announcing them tomorrow, so you'll see it maybe in the TV movie categories, but it won't be up for the Oscars. And it's been a whole debate just online. Should this film even be eligible? I know The Good, Bad, and Watchable had this whole thing when Nick Boyle made it his favorite film of the year. People were calling out, it's not a film. I will say, on my list of Letterboxd, it was one of the highest things I had on my Letterboxd, but I still don't know where I could put it. I mean, I guess it's a film, but not really. It's a tape.
We got to consult Steven Spielberg about what's a movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Get him on the show to legitimize it.
Yeah, Chris Nolan. Is this okay? What do I do? Because it's a taped version of the stage show. Sure, there's editing and directing involved, so it's not just like, oh, somebody put a camcorder up in the middle of the seats and just hit record. There's a lot more to it. But this performance already got Tonys. They got their Tony Awards.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, it's like, can we do the inverse now? Years later, can we take a film, Mank, put that on a Broadway theater screen, and then have the actors in front of the screen act it out? And then could that be up for Tonys? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more thinking of just like, what's to stop like another big production that's popular at the time from doing a similar thing? I mean, Hamilton was a sensation.
Yeah.
And I think it's an outlier, but
back in the day, Cats. Why not? Cats was the longest running Broadway show.
In fact, they did do a movie version.
Oh, they did?
Yes, because I watched it in my music class when I was in like 7th or 8th
Oh, you're actually
grade.
talking about a real version of that.
One.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, not the recent
old one. But what's to stop another stage production from doing this? I mean,
well, what about something like Jersey Boys that was originally a play that became a movie? I mean, I guess it's not really the same thing, is it? Because they're not recording the show; they rewrote the script for a movie. Yeah.
Yeah, at least that was written for the screen, right?
I think it was rewritten for the screen.
Yeah. What we have with Hamilton is it was written for the stage, then put on television, right?
Yeah, on a streaming service. Now, is it a television show? Is it a movie? Like, that's like, is it a podcast? I mean, what is it? And and you bring up kind of like the play aspect to it, because some of the snubs we saw today, that kind of leads into the snubs. I just watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. It is a film, but it was adapted from a play, and it feels like a play in scenes because it's like there's very few sets. It's just a lot of monologues. They're in a enclosed space. So it's like, well, that is a film because it was adapted from a play. It's all very confusing. But anyways, some of the snubs, there was no big Best Picture love for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Judas and the Black Messiah, One Night in Miami. The latter I find a little strange because Regina King is one of the 5 directing nominated directors. The film got acting nom. It got a song nom. Clearly, it's well directed. Not one of the 10 best pictures though. It's like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Strange.
How can you have all these other elements that were so great but not the film?
Yeah.
One film that was completely shut out, Spike Lee's The Five Bloods, and I can't remember exactly where we fell on it in July. I think we all liked it. I don't think we loved it, but I thought I think
Yeah, it
we
was
liked
fine.
it. But I think a lot of people can agree though. Delroy Lindo was a standout MVP performer in that. Chadwick
Mm,
Boseman obviously as a supporting player, and Spike
mm.
Lee, whether it's his writing or directing, but zip, nada, goose egg for the Five Bloods, which is going to be kind of awkward because his children are those Golden Globe ambassadors this year. You know how they always have like the kids of a famous person like
Yeah.
be the ambassadors at the ceremony. Well, his kids are this year, and his dad got 0 nominations from them. So awkward. But
Oh well.
um, but yeah, most of the films I mentioned are ensemble films with a lot of supporting players. And there was a surprise supporting player. I think no one had. Gold Derby, which is a site that kind of ranks all the different contenders and all the different categories and their chances. They had about 50 supporting players here, and they were missing the guy who got a nomination, the top 5 performances of the year, Jared Leto from The Little Things, which we'll talk about in a bit. Was there any surprises? Was that a surprise to you, Kyle? Were there any other surprises or snubs that you saw with the film side of things?
As far as film, I mean, again, it goes back to I haven't seen a lot of the films, especially for actress and especially on the actress side of things. But a lot of these movies I'm going to check out in the future once they become more available. But it's as far as Jared Leto goes, it's really hard for me to separate my hatred of Jared Leto from anything he does. I really do not like Jared
Yeah.
Leto. Do I think his performance in The Little Things, which we'll talk about later, was anything special? No, I don't think so. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what your feelings are on that.
Yeah, not to spoil my thoughts, from 20 minutes from now. I think Jared Leto was one of the better things in Little Things. I was intrigued by his performance.
Mhm.
Um, Top 5 performer of the year? I don't think so. As I mentioned, those were ensemble films. One Night in
Mhm.
Miami. There's 4 actors right there that could get supporting noms.
Yeah.
Anyone in Hamilton, because for the supporting ones, they do musical and comedy and drama combined. So it's all those actors could be
Mhm.
nominated in this category. So those guys could have been in it. There's the list goes on and on. So I don't know if it's the top 5 performance of the year. I don't think so, but I don't know. You got people being snubbed, and then you also have people becoming double and triple nominees at the Globes. Once they mint you as someone they love, you're in the club. You're in the
Yeah.
club. Anna
Yeah.
Taylor-Joy for The Queen's Gambit and Emma, the film. Olivia Colman got in for the film The Father and also for the series The Crown. And then
Mhm.
Sacha Baron Cohen actually tied the record for most noms for a performer with 3. He got 2 for Borat as a producer and then also as a star. And then he got another in the supporting category for The Trial of the Chicago 7. And then in more of the tech side of things, in the same category, Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor got 2 nominations for score for Soul and Mank. So they're going to be battling each other in that same category, which will be quite interesting. But yeah, I'm going to run through one quick thing on the film side, then we can switch over to TV. I don't know because I don't know much about it yet because I haven't seen the film, but there was a lot of hoopla maybe a month or 2 ago over the film Minari. This is an upcoming film. It's going to be an awards player for sure at the Oscars. There was a lot of Twitter uproar from the choice from the Hollywood Foreign Press Association to not allow the film to compete in the Best Picture categories. Instead, it's in the foreign language film category because it's primarily in Korean. However, from what I've seen, again, I haven't seen the film yet, it is a film about the American dream, set in America, starring an American, directed by an American, and produced by an American company. Just because the film, I guess, is primarily in Korean, it becomes a foreign language film. However, if you look at some of the past of the Golden Globes, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, they made Inglourious Bastards okay to be in that category. But from what I remember that film, only about 30% of that film is actually in English. Most of it's in German, French, Italian. The Artist was a French film, 100% French film with French actors, French production. It won musical and comedy, but it was a silent film. There was one line at the very end, spoiler, in English, but French film can be musical comedy. So it's very, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that logic there, especially when it's U.S. pretty much U.S. based across the board, except they're just speaking Korean. I mean, that's absurd to think about. I mean, there are people that live in America that can't, or that might not be able to speak English, but so I think it should just be in an American movie, U.S. made film.
Yeah, so we'll definitely say more when we actually see the film, and we haven't been able to see it yet, so we don't know for sure. But I wanted to bring that up when we're talking about film and the Hollywood Foreign Press.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move to television. I think we'll have a lot more to say in television here. The Crown led with 6 nominations, followed by Schitt's Creek with 5. Schitt's Creek is nominated alongside Emily in Paris, The Flight Attendant, The Great, and Ted Lasso in musical and comedy series. And then on the drama side, we have The Crown, Lovecraft Country, The Mandalorian, Ozark, and Ratched. All right. Any initial thoughts on these, John?
I don't think I saw any of the drama.
I think you might have seen Ratched.
I think I was thinking. I think I saw that.
And Lovecraft Country. I made you watch those.
I watched an episode. I don't know if I would count that
as
as seeing it.
Okay.
I watched season 1 of Ozark. And then as far as television, just an episode or 2 of The Flight Attendant. So most of these 2 categories, I either haven't seen at all. I've only seen an episode or 2. At most, the season of Ozark. So I'm out. I don't have a horse in this race.
Yeah, I mean, by looking at this list, I mean, you could definitely tell that they love. Like I always say, they love new and shiny things. Look at the list: Emily in Paris, Flight Attendant, The Great, Ted Lasso, all first seasons. Lovecraft Country, Ratched, again, first season stuff. Like they love to mint new stuff here. Any thoughts on these 2 races, Kyle?
Some surprises. Surprised to see Ratched on there. I mean, you could say it was doing stuff with the production, but as far as the writing goes, I don't think it's doing anything special. Very similar to kind of that American Horror Story-esque situation. Ozark, I still have to catch up on season 3, but that's always kind of in the running. Lovecraft Country, if somebody explains it to me, maybe. I mean, I still haven't finished all the way through it because I was struggling with the fact that there's no cohesiveness to it. It just feels like different anthologies in a book. It didn't make any sense. The Crown is, I watched The Crown, very, very well done, focused on some different characters, and the direction and the production value is really good. Emily in Paris, that's going to be a no for me, dog. I think it's just popularity, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I know somebody who watched it, and even when they saw the nominees, they laughed. They're like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think The Flight Attendant.
It's popularity, I think, again. I think.
Yeah. I've heard good things about The Great, but I gotta assume Schitt's Creek is gonna win out on this.
Yeah, unless they like to do their new thing. Sometimes they really love the first season kind of minting something.
Yeah, that's true. And for me, I was a Ted Lasso fan. Maybe it was the pandemic, but I'm not saying it did anything revolutionary, but Jason Sudeikis is very good in it. It's very wholesome, and it's just charming. So I don't mind that so much, but a couple of those are puzzling for the comedy and the drama section.
Yeah, because there was quite a few that could be on this list. I mean, just even personal favorites of mine. I mean, Rami, Dave, What We Do in the Shadows. They got some Emmy love, but I guess they didn't get the Golden Globe love.
Mhm.
for their seasons.
I would put in I May Destroy You. That's
Oh, we'll
was
talk
one
about
of
that.
one of the more solid ones for me as well.
Yeah. But they love certain people and they love just anything that they make. They're just gonna award it. They love Ryan Murphy. They
Mm.
must love him here. I mean, they gave
Mhm.
3 for Ratchet, 2 for The Prom. I looked up Rotten Tomato scores just to get a feel because I wasn't a fan of Ratchet. I know people that watched The Prom weren't fans of that. There's like a campaign right now, pretty much like James Corden does not deserve a nomination. So it's
Yeah.
bad when people are like, oh man, it sucks. So and so didn't get nominated. But to be actively mad that someone got a nomination,
Mm.
that's a weird inverse. But
Yeah.
but the Rotten Tomato scores like 62% for Ratchet, 56 for The Prom. Okay, I guess, as you said, there might be something going for it. But then you have a show, and I'm gonna always stump for it. I know John will too. Better Call Saul.
Mm.
It got 4 Writers Guild nominations today. It got like one of them got like 3 of their episodes out of 5 that were eligible in the category. 3 of them are from Saul. Not here in drama series. Bob Odenkirk did get a Golden Globe nom, but that's it. And you're telling me that it's not as good as Ratchet or The Mandalorian or something like that? I find that hard to believe.
But does the Vince Gilligan team have the same clout that Ryan Murphy does?
No, I don't think
Will
he
he
does.
be more likely to do your, to engage in whatever kind of thing you want, the tabloid talk?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure even when it was up for Golden Globes, Breaking Bad, I don't think it did that well. I feel like it took a while for them to even catch on to Golden Globes. I'm looking here. Yeah, Golden Globes, they only nominated it like 7 or 8 times, which, it got multiple Emmys, but it looked like it wasn't even nominated for series until the second to last, season 5A, and it only ever won in the final season for Bryan Cranston and for drama series.
Mm.
It had 2 wins out of like 6 or 7, which is kind of strange. But yeah, because they don't like to admit when they're wrong sometimes. When they don't like to backtrack, they like to be in the beginning, and that's why I'm like surprised we don't get someone like Bridgerton. I really thought, I haven't seen Bridgerton, but it's hot, it's new, it's buzzy.
Yeah.
I mean, it came out a month or 2 ago, but that didn't stop when Brooklyn Nine-Nine won 2 Golden Globes for comedy. 1 for comedy series after like 10 episodes of season 1. I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but those first 9 or 10 episodes, come on, the best comedy on television at that point? I don't think so. So it's just, I found that was a strange one, but I think the biggest snub, which I want you to definitely bring up, Kyle. I've seen it everywhere. This is the one everyone's talking about today. I May Destroy You.
Yeah. So, I mentioned in our end of the year podcast that I thought it was one of the best shows I'd watched all year. Between delving into, this woman's trauma, but also her kind of working her way through it, and the comedic bits, the relationship between the characters, the unique writing style, uniqueness to the characters. I thought it was one of the best shows of the year, besides probably Normal People. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I can't believe it's not on this list somewhere. And if they loved Newbies, I would assume that this would be in there, but it's a shame.
I don't know if it was just too cult for them, that it was just too under the radar for them. I don't know, but you bring up Normal People as well. It's interesting here because we got an Emmys flip. At the Emmys, Paul Mescal, the male actor for Normal People, was nominated, but the female actress was not. Here, Paul is not nominated, but Daisy Edgar Jones is nominated for a Golden Globe. So we got a little bit of a switch.
Yeah, which is weird to me, and I will say this: I don't think you can have one without the other.
Yeah.
So if you think she's good enough, I think he has to be good enough, because those two work off each other the entire series, right?
Yeah.
Their whole relationship is that story.
50-50.
So how can one be? I mean, I don't. they both have scenes where you're like, yeah, I can see them winning an award for this. I just don't know how you can have one and not the other.
We'll see if the SAG Awards tomorrow. Sometimes they'll do the rare 2 people in the show can be up for ensemble. I remember they did it for Key and Peele one year. They were nominated for comedy series. So maybe normal people can do that rare feat. But anything else for TV you want to talk about before we move into our film tonight? Anything jump out with you guys with television?
Just with the Don Cheadle. What has he done? What does he have over the Golden Globes? Does he have? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm glad that he gets nominated, but it's just.
Yeah, I want to look up. I want to look up, see if I can find up.
Because I feel like he went from whatever that show was with
House of
Kristen
Lies?
Bell to like right into this next Showtime series, and it's like it doesn't matter what he was. It could be I poop on the toilet, and he was gonna get nominated. All right.
He's gotten 6 nominations so far, 2 wins. He got 3 for House of Lies, and now he's up again for Black Monday. So yeah, he's a favorite. They love their Showtime. I remember, who was it? William H. Macy always getting a nomination.
They do.
There's always one in that comedy slot. Even the one year when I'm not sure if William H. Macy was up, and they put in Sacha Baron Cohen for Who Is America. It's a Showtime a Showtime comedy slot. It's just they have that.
They got it in there. Category. They got it in there. I'm glad that the girl that played Princess Diana got nominated. I thought she did a really, really good job as well. So, just overall some questionable things about the TV. I don't. It just feels like a popularity contest, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that's it for nominations. I'm sure we'll talk about the winners. They'll be announced February 28th on NBC. So we got about a month before we can react again to the Golden Globes. All right. One last thing to do tonight. It's a jam-packed show. We're going to go talking about a movie that was nominated at the Golden Globes today. In order to talk to it, we do have to go back. So guys, send us back.
We're
Oh, it froze.
Oh no, it
back.
froze.
Oh no.
Baby.
I'm back, baby! Gotta get back in time.
Yikes.
Honestly,
You were way off tonight,
yeah,
Kyle.
I was so glad it was frozen because I started so early.
You're way off
Music
tonight.
just barely got on, and I was like,
Chalk
hey.
it up as a loss to everyone and move on.
It's okay.
Oh,
Can we say the same, John, about The Little Things? January 29th on HBO Max and in theaters. This neo-noir crime film stars Denzel Washington and Rami Malek as 2 police officers who are trying to catch a serial killer in 1990s Los Angeles when they find a strange man, played by a strange man, Jared Leto, who may be their top suspect. All right. Someone's going to have to stop me before I go into my rant. First, let's start off with Kyle. What did you think of The Little Things?
So I was intrigued, right, by the story.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was intrigued by it. I was interested. They held my attention the whole way. But the little mechanisms along the way.
The little things.
Yeah, the little things, if you will, made me just scratch my head a lot to just be like, why? And we're going to go into it, but that some of the acting choices, especially from actors that I appreciate and like, did not make sense to me. Not sure if it's a script thing as well, because we'll talk about some of the lines that were said, but just overall, some of the decisions that were made, some of the cliche things really bring this movie down when it could have been an intriguing story that was, especially with 3 great actors, you would imagine a lot more for a film. But I will say supremely average, leaning towards the side of well below average.
Yeah, the pieces were there. You have 3 Academy Award winners right on the poster, and Denzel Washington, Jared Leto. Those are some of my pros. Leto, love him or hate him, he's creating a character you can't stop watching. I was in. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. The interrogation scene reminded me of like the Joker in The Dark Knight. It was those kind of like goofy little like one-liners. It's like the phone starts, ringing for Rami, and it's like, oh, is that for me? And then it's like, oh, pineapple and jalapenos on mine for and it's just like little dumb lines. I'm actually in. Okay, he's doing something. I'm intrigued. You got Washington, always great, A-list, but I believe in the character he's portraying. He's one of those rare guys where I see it's Denzel Washington, but I'm in on his character. I can do that. Can't say the same for Rami Malek. Can't say the same. The entire time I saw the actor, I saw his Mr. Robot delivery the entire time.
Yeah.
Mark on Instagram, he sent us a message. He said, "PU, that movie stinks. Dear Rami Malek, you suck at acting. Boom, roasted." I'm not sure I would be that far. It would be nice to Rami when he guests on our podcast in the future.
Yeah. I mean, he was the worst part for me with the acting.
Yeah, I got a lot to say with that. So before I go on to that, John, what are your thoughts on little things specifically on Rami here?
I think I agree with everything that's been said so far. I could not unsee Rami. I think he does a great subversive character, kind of like he does in the other show, which I'm blanking on real quick.
Mr. Robot.
Yes, Mr. Robot. Thank you. I think he plays that part very well. I think this part where he had to be a bit more forward and maybe more controlling, it didn't work for him, unfortunately. But I think we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but I mean, you just said it a few minutes ago. I think Leto's character was maybe the bright point of the movie, which it could be saying multiple things if you want to read between some lines here. But yeah, I have to admit, about halfway through, I went to bed and then I picked it up the next day because I just wasn't into it. I did end up seeing all of it, but yeah, I didn't. It didn't grab me. I wasn't. I wasn't in for it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was meant to be this way, but with Rami's character, it was so much like cop cliches coming out of his mouth. Every cop talks exactly like him. We've seen it so many times since the 90s. He has like the "don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Look me in the eyes and tell me that isn't my guy." And we need all the perps, all of his contacts. I mean, everyone, family, friends. It's like these lines, and they're the constant nicknames. Hey, Kojak. Hey, Columbo. Hey, Mr. Clean. It just felt like Cop 101. It just was very over the top.
Well, the thing that I'll bring up, John, and I mentioned this to Dave, is they did this thing about 3 or 4 times at least in any interrogation or when they were meeting somebody. They did the classic hold up a photo, slide it across the table. Now you want to talk, don't you? It's just like, come on, dude.
Yep, that was, even when they cornered the guy on the street, there was a photo mysteriously pulled out of somebody's pocket. I don't even know whose pocket it came out of.
I like how Leto's like, "Hey, you got the original." Nice.
So I totally understand what you're saying. It happened so many times, and
there was a point when Denzel was just waiting in the room in the dark, and then Rami walks into the room, and then the light turns on. I'm like, oh my god, the biggest cliche. That's so cheesy, but the film just feels dated. And then I looked it up. No surprise, the first draft was actually written in 1993. And speaking of that period, I want to describe a film to you and see what makes you think, what is this? Okay, here we go. One rookie cop with a beautiful wife is forced to work with a veteran cop to find a serial killer in a 90s thriller where halfway through the movie, the killer is revealed to be an A-list actor. This killer then forces the detective to the desert where the killer pushes him so hard that the detective ends up killing said killer. What film did I describe to you? I described The Little Things and another film.
7?
Boom.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, this is 7.
Yeah.
like, I don't know what came first. Obviously 7 came first because it was 20 years ago, but 30 years ago. I don't even know with time anymore. But okay, maybe update the script a little bit, polish it up, change it up. But it was like by the book of just like, okay, Rami Malek is Brad Pitt's character. Denzel Washington, the veteran cop, is going to be Morgan Freeman. Oh, surprise, Jared Leto, Kevin Spacey. Okay, it's just, what are we doing here?
At least 7 had a gimmick. It had a story that moved around and we're on this sin. It's like, no, this didn't have any of that.
Yeah. And there's stuff in this film that just flat out didn't make sense to me. And I'll run through it. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. There's a point when there's a woman jogging, and it looks like, okay, she's going to be taken by this killer. And the next morning, Rami Malek and Denzel Washington go to get, breakfast, and there's a missing poster. And I'm supposed to believe, is that missing poster the jogger from the night before? Because first of all, this is the 90s. I mean, where are you going from midnight to 8 in the morning, getting those flyers made up and making her like the time frame just doesn't make sense in the story.
Unless it wasn't supposed to be the next day, but then unless it was like a time jump.
Yeah, because it's just weird because we saw right before the scene of the jogging of Denzel Washington and Rami Malek like, I'll meet you tomorrow for breakfast, and then we see that scene. True. So unless the scene is out of order, and I don't know, but there's a point in the beginning when they get to the apartment of one of the victims, and I think Rami says the killer exited the same way he came in. Your job is to secure the premises. It's like, well, the killer's not gonna be there. Like, was he just waiting around for the cops to come and then, oh, cops are here, let me walk out the door now? It's like, no, they're responding to a dead body. So they're going to come after the fact, not during or before the fact.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was like upset that like evidence might be tainted or something like that.
I kind of thought along the lines of everybody else entered the apartment that way too. Yeah. So you have to keep people from doing that, but.
Yeah.
And then there's one point I rewound 4 times to understand this interrogation scene. Jared Leto says, the contrast is off. No Ouija. And then Denzel Washington says, why is that? And there's the longest pause in the history of pauses. And Leto says, why not? And then boom, Denzel's like pushing him up against the wall.
Yeah, no.
I had to rewind that 3 times. And I even had to look up what's a Ouija. It's a camera. Okay. But like the contrast is off. No Ouija. Denzel, why is that? Why not? Just like I literally had to rewind like 4 times to like.
Is it something to do like he was making fun of the fact that the photo's contrast was off and the photo was of the dead girl and he's remarking on the contrast of the photo?
Yeah, it's just the way like I guess, but like why is Denzel Washington like why is that? And then Leto says why not? Like I don't know. Like the dialogue isn't great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my guess is that he's acting like he actually took it and saying like, why not? And Denzel's asking, why is it that way? And Jared Leto is backhandedly saying like, why not? Like, but it could be a thing. I don't know.
Wouldn't that picture be one the police took though?
I have no idea.
Why not?
How would they have a picture that the killer took? Unless
I don't know, man.
A picture and left
I don't know.
I'm
just trying.
Why not? All right, let's talk about this ending here. We're running a little long tonight. That's okay. This ending. Leto takes. I guess spoiler. Leto takes Rami Malek's character alone to the desert to show him where the body is buried, but he's not sure where it is. He makes him start digging around, and I thought for sure the point when Rami Malek's back was turned to Jared Leto and his gun was sticking out of his holster, that was going to be it for Rami. Just grab that gun and shoot him. Was not the case. Instead, Rami actually hits Jared Leto's character in the head with a shovel. He's dead. And now all of a sudden it's a cover-up film in the last like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't do this at the very end. This isn't a little thing. Yeah. This is a big thing.
Yeah, and I have 2 problems with this whole ending scene. Anyway, okay. why is Jared Leto trying to piss Rami Malek off if he doesn't want to die? But how can we just assume that as a viewer? Like, because we assume that he did the crimes, but it's possible that he didn't, right? So then why is he purposely trying to piss Rami Malek off? Secondly, Rami Malek has somehow grown attached to this family that has missing their daughter. But besides him walking out of that house and maybe a scene with his wife, they didn't really build up the impact that it was having on Rami Malek. So I'm like, you're telling me a trained detective who knows how to interrogate people and is this up and coming detective is going to get just so emotional at the end? It doesn't compute for me.
Yeah, because I mean, even I compare it to 7, and I'm gonna spoil 7 all these years later. It's like for John Doe, Kevin Spacey's character. Obviously, he was taunting Brad Pitt's character because that was part of his plan for the 7
Yes.
sins. That was going to be the last sins there. So there's a reason behind it, the whole master plan of wanting to taunt him. And then obviously, what we find out is in the box sets Brad Pitt's characters off.
Yeah.
But like for Rami Malek's character, as you said, what's the we didn't really establish that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel like, I wish this was an hour earlier, this scene. And maybe the second half of the movie was the cover up or the repercussions of this. But you can't introduce this at the very end. And then we also see that Denzel's character accidentally killed somebody back in the day. So that's why, he's going to help Rami's character now. And they covered Denzel's up, which I don't understand how they could do that. I mean, okay, the person was shot. And now they're like, well, it's going to be multiple stab wounds. It's like, well, I know you're the coroner, you're the autopsy here, but I see the body. There's one bullet hole, not multiple stab wounds. So I don't know how that cover-up's really going to work, but that was a cover-up. Why not cover this one up? Instead, it's like the 2 cops saw it. You could just say, he admitted to it and he, tried to attack me. I don't think that's good police work at all, but I don't know what their plan was somehow better than that.
Yeah.
They're going to,
especially with what we know about like cops recently is like, dude, you could probably do anything, get away with it. Just say that he kidnapped you, brought you out there, you got, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
but there's a lot of leeway for cops. So,
well, yeah, and this movie doesn't work in 2021, and I don't know if it works in 1990 when this came out, because 5 months after the events of this film was everything going on with Rodney King in LA. And this film was written in 93, so 2 years after Rodney King. But we're gonna still kind of do this in here, like with cops and being the good guys and yay, covering it up.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's the whole thing with Denzel. He made some really weird choices at the end. He cleans up Jared Leto's apartment, and it's like, well, why don't that just say he either left town or he ran away because the cops are pressuring him, and he's, he ran away. But no, like, you're gonna clean the entire place up, and then he leaves his own hotel room there with all of this evidence on the bed. First of all, that evidence is not yours. You have to return that. Like, this is not good police work. And then there's a point where I see the boots they kept talking about, like the killer had it on the bed. And for a very brief second, I'm like, wait, is Denzel supposed to be the guy? But then I'm like, no, that's not it. And then there's this thing with the red beret, because for Rami, he knows that the killer had the red beret of one of the victims. So he's given this red beret in the mail. Okay. You don't have to worry anymore. You got the guy. Here it is. I found it. But then we later see that was just purchased by Denzel Washington. So it's not real. The film never 100% confirms it's him, but it's pretty obvious if you read between a lot of the lines that it's Jared Leto was the guy in the end anyways. But yeah, this whole ending was just a mess. I mean,
Yeah, it was. And I mean, I guarantee you they wrote it thinking that it was cool. Like, oh, Denzel is going to buy this and then it's going to ease Rami Malek's conscience. And then but it's just too
much, too fast. I think
too much too. And I just, one other thing before we kind of finish wrapping this up, but Denzel Washington talking to these mysterious people that are watching over him did not work for me at all. I'm like, this is not working for me. And even with Denzel Washington's acting prowess, him talking to the dead body, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And it happened over and over again. And it's just, I don't like it. Did not work.
It did not work. I think I just think I went into this film with high expectations. 3 Oscar winners on the poster. It just wasn't there. It just didn't work. Dated acting. It's just
I will say with these streaming movies, they've got a genius plan on there. These could be like direct to DVD situations that they hype up knowing that it's not good. And they're like, hey, we've got a great movie. We're going to bump up that streaming for this. But this one was not it, man.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is 0 for 2 so far. These are all the films that were supposed to be in theaters, but so far, Wonder Woman 1984, The Little Things, not there. The next one I think from HBO is Judas and the Black Messiah. I have more hope for that one. But again, we will wait and see. Any final thoughts on the Little Things here, guys? Anything else? Do you recommend it, John?
If you listening to us describe it like this made you excited, go for it. Otherwise, I think you've heard more than you need to know.
Kyle.
I mean, I was intrigued by the story, but it's a mess. So take that for what it is. I'm not going to recommend it, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week on the podcast, kind of movie month continues. Every week this month, there's not really much TV, but there's a streaming movie with Oscars and everything around the corner. This week will be Malcolm and Marie. It's on Netflix. Zendaya, John David Washington. Speaking of Denzel Washington, there you go. Plus, we'll talk about the Super Bowl. Am I reading that right? We'll talk about the commercials and the halftime show and all the pop culture from the Super Bowl game this weekend. Next week, we will be back on Tuesday night. We did a special Wednesday this week, but Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, twitch.tv/Dual Redundancy. And you can find other episodes of the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, the blog, dualredundancy.com. And of course, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram at Dual Redundancy. I want to thank both of you guys for sitting through the Little Things and for all the extra work John did this week, directing the show, but also making up some new graphics and new audio drops. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
All right. Until next week, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.